Hi, everybody. Welcome to Mark's Backyard Birds. It's a Thursday night edition of Live, and Melanie and I are just fresh back from our vacation, our cruise, and we are definitely recovering from that and digging out from like 400 emails and all the things that go along. If you want to play, you got to pay, right? Back from vacation. And you guys are definitely been active already tonight. Lots of people joining in already. First off, we want to welcome you. Of course, if you this is your first time, or even if you're, of course, obviously you're a regular, we appreciate your support. You can see my associate producer down here in the corner. This is Sophie. She has decided tonight to want to be very near us since we were gone for 10 days. She's very clingy right now. She's a 15-year-old Bichon Frise, and she is the baby of the family still. So you may hear her whimper a few times during the live tonight. But again, welcome. My name is Mark McKellar. I am the owner of the Backyard Bird Center in Kansas City, Missouri. With me, as always, is my wife, Melanie, sitting behind. There's her hand. Yay. My producer, as I like to call her. She helps me a ton with these things. So it's especially as this channel has grown and these lives have grown. There are a lot more comments, and it's much harder for me to keep up with them. And so she helps me with that. So first thing I thought we would do, we'll tell you a little bit about our trip, and then we're going to delve into the topic of about stop feeding those people who stop feeding birds when the weather gets warm, and why that's not a good idea. So let's see. We got Clint, welcome in. You're right. You should feed birds all year round. Thank you very much. You with that on. Hi, Steel Monkey from Cape Cod. We've been talking this week online. All right. Space Ghost. Hello. I used to love that show when I was a kid. And Ruth Music from Lacine, Kansas, a real regular here, close by. Oh, you're in Fayetteville, Arkansas, Space Coast. Yep, that's not too far to the south. Hi, John Wood. You have quickly become a real regular. Welcome in. All right. Let's see. Andrew from Cincinnati, Ohio, been enjoying your videos. And yes, you are right, Andrew. You definitely have a starling problem. And you are taking the right steps to remedy that. Yeah, 74 degrees. It will definitely change things. Birds that shouldn't be this far north yet are starting to move in, and weather patterns are well ahead of schedule. I was told today that our high, I think today was the average high for May 1st or May 5th or something like that today in Kansas City. So yeah, the temperatures are soaring. All right. Another Arkansas person. A lot of birds in my feeders. Also, the flying squirrels are loving the bark butter. God, I love flying squirrels. I'm jealous. I don't have those. Although I should probably spread some out in the trees. Maybe I'll get them here in this yard. Hi from Virginia. Titmice have begun welcoming. Absolutely. The song is really picking up all around. The Cardinals, and of course, Carolina Wrens never stop singing. And the titmice. I've heard the red-bellied woodpecker singing. So there's a lot of song. This, day length triggers them, and especially whenever the weather's really warm. Hi, Janice Art from Belton, Missouri, right to the south part of Kansas City. All right, Tiff from North Georgia. And who we've got here? Hello, okay. And you guys are doing exactly what I always like to remind people is, of course, I'm here in Kansas City, Missouri, in the heart of the country, and we ask you when you do chime in, let us know where you are. That helps us out a lot, especially for me answering questions and things, and it gives me an idea. And I love the way you guys check in from all over the country. And I'm gonna let Melanie start clicking on the Greg in Springfield, Missouri. Excellent. Shirley from South Texas. Welcome in, Shirley, a real regular. Hi, Ruth Simmons, one of my very best friends in this world. Yep, yeah. Alyssa, a real regular from New Jersey. Welcome in. Michael.
Oh, sorry.
Snow. AJ Hill from Dallas, Texas. All right. And from snowless Wisconsin. We were up bird watching up there several years ago up in northern Minnesota, and they had no snow that year. and all the restaurants up in the north were closing down because they had no snowmobilers, and that's why keep them open during the winter months, and they were closing until spring that year. So it's not the only year you don't get snow, but it's not. Hello, Carrie Wadlow from Kansas City, my store manager and friend. Carol and Jay from Platte County, one of our bird watching group that come with us on all our bird hikes. Hi, Kurt. Welcome in. He's right by here, and Carrie's significant other, we call him.
That's Kara from the cruise.
Hi, Kara Beckman from the cruise. See, she'll know what I'm talking about when they were talking about the cruise night. She's part
from Reno,
Nevada, where we went. We were a part of a group. Tell you, starting on that a little bit. The cruise we went on was part of a group that we've been involved with for a few years. 5 years now, Melanie says. Yeah, they call the Social Divas. And the head of that group is our business coach. She is the one you guys have to thank for getting me onto YouTube. She's the one who said, why the heck aren't you on YouTube, Mark? And hey, Steve, welcome in. I love that picture of that brown-headed nuthatch. Absolutely. And so she's the one that gave me that shove I needed to get going on YouTube. And it's been greatly successful. Plus, she gives us tons of advice and coaching on how to grow our business. And that was the group that we went with. And there were, 45 or so total people, I think? 47 people. Yeah, there
22 from the group.
A lot of spouses, of course, and things like that. So, Walter, from New Jersey. Hey, welcome in. Janet Anderson, newbie. Welcome in, Janet.
Where are you from?
Where are you from? Let's see if we can. Derek from Illinois, welcome in. You guys are great. Good evening from Greenwood, Indiana. Hi, Kathy. They're another real regular.
And Dana.
Hey, Dana. Thank you so much for joining in. If you haven't seen, Dana came and visited the store on her way traveling through Kansas City and did some filming, bought some products, and she's posted a couple of videos about the store, and we talked a good long time. She's really a terrific person and loves feeding birds and is very significant in the world of fire safety for children. A history there.
And we need to thank her for helping us with the Mark's Backyard Birds community. She helped a lot with that one.
Yeah, the Mark's Backyard Bird community that you guys, so many of you have joined. Dana really helped us while we were on vacation and helping making sure posts got on there because we couldn't post any from the Atlantic Ocean where we were at. And it was tricky. We were able to kind of keep up with messages, but not. I did some filming, and there's going to be a video this week I'm going to post about my bird watching adventures on Cozumel. But that's really it was a great time. And let's see. Hi. Oh, yes, our nickname for Sophie is the Q-tip. And Ruth says she can see the Q-tip in the corner of the screen down there. My son has no new birds to add to his list now. The weather has warmed up 10 degree play. Yeah, Andre. Yeah, it is. It's amazing how quickly things change. You get that big melt and the birds move out. And they're doing what they should, but they will be back. And that's part of what we're talking about tonight is what's going to be happening in the coming months and why people don't want to give up on feeding birds just yet, even though it has slowed down quite a bit. All right. Well, I want to show you some pictures.
Okay.
Yep. Melanie's going to keep clicking through those. Let's see. This is our vacation. This is the day we were leaving. Sitting out.
It was a business retreat. It wasn't just
a business retreat. Yes, absolutely. But I loved it. And Melanie loved it. We had a great time. And this is birding with my friend Elvis Jimenez, who is my guide down in Cozumel, and that's what this show I'm going to be talking. It's going to be coming on. I think it'll be maybe next Thursday night. I'm going to post it about our birding adventure down there and the birds that we saw. But Elvis is a fantastic guy. He's a great guide, a passionate trip leader, and a great photographer. You're going to be able to see a couple of his pictures coming up here. But I highly recommend if you get a chance, you're on a cruise, if you're going to be in Cozumel for whatever reason, I'm going to put his information link, excuse me, down below. So, but we had a great time. Saw lots of great birds. 63 total species for the day. 5 hours work. That's about all we had. And I had 6 new lifers. And people have asked, well, what's a lifer? For a bird watcher, a lifer is a bird that you have never seen before. So, for a bird watcher, your goal is to see all the birds you can possibly see. And when I get to add new birds on my list, is thrilling for me because it's very hard to add a new bird here in North America anymore for me. For as long as I've been bird watching, I added the American flamingos down in down in Florida before we left, which was my first North American life bird for a year and a half, probably. So it's great. All right, we had goldfinches, house finches, purple finches, chickadees, nuthatch, and juncos. Still feeding peanuts, nitrous, sunflower, and safflower. Awesome. Yeah, some people, and again, you guys check in from all over. Some people's feeders are still really busy, and that's great. It depends on where you are and the level of stress, the level of natural food, etc. So I'm glad to see some really good active bird feeders still being reported out there. One of the reasons why I take real quick on a preview of that video coming up on the birding of Cozumel. This is a bird called a Cozumel Vireo. And as the name will indicate that it's the only place on the planet you can find this bird is on the island of Cozumel. So that's really thrilling to me for when I go somewhere new that I can actually find what we call the endemics, the birds that can only be found there. And some of them are subspecies, but some of those are true species like this bird. This is we have lots of vireos here in North America. Well, we don't have this one. It can only be found there. And this shot was taken by Elvis, my guide, but not the day we were there. He had taken this previously and sent these to me so I could use them for the program. And another bird we saw that has a perpetual bad hair day. This is called a Caribbean Elainea. And they're a group of flycatchers. We saw 2 different kinds. We saw yellow-bellied, and we saw this Caribbean, and I love the hair. The feathers are quite hit. So I had a great time. We both had a great time. We enjoyed all the things you do on cruises. This is only the second cruise we've ever been on. It was our first as empty nesters, and we did get, like I said, we did get some brainstorming sessions in and working with the group. But we also had fun and bird watching. When I get a chance to go bird watching, like to do in a place I've never got to go bird watching before, it's just, I love it. So,
and to get to go with a guide, and you're not the guide.
Yeah, as Melanie points out, this is a rare occurrence for me because usually when I go on bird watching trips like this, I am the guide. I'm the one leading the group and finding the birds. Well, this is wonderful in this case because I actually got to be the participant, and Elvis was the guide, and he did a great job, and I was so impressed. And he didn't play tapes and things. He was very respectful of the birds, and we didn't go tromping off and disturb habitat and things like that. That whenever I'm out with somebody, I really gauge, what their respect is for nature, and he truly was there. So
I put the link for the group.
All right,
and then
link for the group
is next.
Shirley is next. All right. Where should I throw bird seed on the ground, near or away from the feeder? I do both. I actually like to find a bare spot, Shirley, closer to the trees, and that's where I like to throw most of my ground seed on the ground. So, to get those sparrows away from my feeder, and of course the juncos will love it out there, and the cardinals too, closer to cover. But I do sprinkle some under the feeders. It's going to get knocked off anyways, typically by the birds. But I usually, where I typically throw my ground throw is out away from the feeders a little bit, because hopefully that can't beat them joining method to get those house sparrows down there and away from the feeders. Yep. And so you said house sparrows. Okay, there you go. Absolutely. Hey, Frontier. Yep. Carrie's a big believer in the ground throw too. We always have to keep those the sparrows happy.
This one you changed.
Oh, we'll get back here. All right, that's the link to the Facebook group that has been going so well, and people have been great to contribute videos from their yard. But now, for something completely different, a regularly scheduled program, as they would say on television. Should I stop feeding birds as soon as the weather gets warmer, or why should I not stop feeding birds is a better maybe a title for the program tonight. We get this all the time, every year. The first hint of warm weather, and there are many people who just stop feeding birds. Yes, bird feeders do slow down. The stress is level, like we've talked about this winter and on past programs, but people think that just because it's warm, the birds don't need bird seed. Now, the reason I chose to start with American goldfinches in the picture, one is this, they're in beautiful transition. They're not that far along just yet.
Sorry, that was an accident.
The you can see them molting. People are already starting to comment how they're seeing some of the bright yellow feathers in their American goldfinches, and they are starting to molt. But it's still very early in the process. This picture was taken, I think, more in April, and the reason I started with this is not because of the molt, even though this is something you would miss if you quit feeding birds now. You wouldn't get to see this transition into this bright canary yellow, beautiful activity at their feeders. What? I don't know what she's doing over there on her phone.
Something's wrong with my phone.
Something's wrong with her phone, she says. Okay. So, but the reason I put them in there again is that goldfinches don't eat insects. And that is one of the things people think at this time of year, just when it gets warm like this, oh, they don't need bird seed because they're eating bugs instead. Well, there are a lot of birds that are eating bugs, and especially like bluebirds and some of the classic, more insectivorous species. They are eating, insects as soon as they start to appear. Well, goldfinches don't do that. Goldfinches eat seeds. So, and this late into winter, the natural seed the crop is really running low. And so for birds that are total seed eaters, or at least majority seed eaters, like cardinals are majority seed eaters, that they will eat bugs, they'll eat with some, and they'll eat some berries, but the seed eaters won't seed. And I am telling you, having done this for 40 years, that some years we sell more bird seed in April and May than we did in January and February, because what happens is that natural food supply that most of it seeded out or dropped into fall begins to run low. The birds have been taking advantage of it all winter. I always say, remember, birds only get about 15% of their daily diet from your bird feeders. So they're not just eating your seed, they are moving around all winter, and they will be gathering natural seed every chance they get. And of course, during these mild stretches, they're out there gathering it even more. Well, that seed supply really begins to run low in late winter, early spring. And so bird feeders really pick up. So it doesn't matter that the temperatures are really mild. Your bird feeders will get busier because of that natural food supply. And there's lots of other reasons. Like I said, you miss the beautiful transitional show of like the goldfinches, but there's other things you'll miss too. And that is, things like those early nesting birds. Remember those resident birds that did not leave during the winter? They get first selection sites of nesting areas, and they start nesting very soon now. I mean, we've already, we talked early about the amount of song we're hearing, and that's all setting up territories. We've got bluebirds taking in sprigs of grass, especially you guys to the south are definitely seeing a lot of bluebird activity around boxes. Around here is still in that early stage. They're not going to nest just yet, and you guys up north have a ways to wait for that. But the birds are starting their nesting process, and if you stop feeding now, then you miss out on this. You get to miss the adults bringing in the babies, and you also miss out on the flirting, which is the adults passing seed to one another. Cardinals do it all the time. A male will pick up a seed and hand it to the female, and she'll take the seed out of it. But all that's fun to watch, and you miss out on it if you stop feeding the first sign of warm weather. And of course, you got birds that are just now coming in. I know you guys to the south, you probably have chipping sparrows most of the winter, where we don't up here. These are one of the early migrants that come in to our feeders, and we'll look out there. It's still a little early for us here, But boy, with these warm southern winds that we've had the last week or two, there are a lot of birds that are moving around earlier than normal. So it wouldn't surprise me if somebody said they had chipping sparrows in our area here this week. But there's a lot of southern birds that you miss out on. We're going to, of course, other months coming up, we'll be talking about indigo buntings and rose-breasted grosbeaks and all that beautiful spring show that goes on. That if you quit feeding out, you're going to miss out on. And yes, they need it. Absolutely. So because when we talk about seed supplies, and we're going to talk about seed supplies running low, the first plants that produce a seed head are going to be the dandelions. And I haven't even seen a dandelion flower yet. I mean, I know you guys in the South are probably seeing a lot of them. But the dandelions are one of the earliest plants that actually produces a seed. And when they do, when the first big crop of dandelions goes to head, the white fluffy seed head tops there, that is, we'll have tons of goldfinches feeding at that time, and then all of a sudden they will disappear just like that. And everybody's like, where did dandelions? I mean, where did the goldfinches go? Most of them are gone out to get the dandelion seeds. It's great for birds. They love it. A lot of native sparrows like it. We have a lot of activity. We have a whole hillside of it behind our store. And if it just depends on the timing of the mowing back there, but in years in which they're late mowing and they let everything go to head, we have tons of native sparrows out there, clay-colored sparrows every spring, Lincoln sparrows, lots of sparrows out there, but the goldfinches too. They go attack those seed heads. But that shows you, that's the first fresh seed they have. They've been picking up the old stuff, all winter long, especially in the spring. And that's why they appreciate your feeder so much. And you'll see a lot of activity in the spring. And of course, the other one that is one of the earliest seeds that begins to fall are the red maple seeds, or other maple trees, the helicopter seeds, as we call them. The birds will feed on those as well. And so coming up, like I said, those goldfinches will disappear for a while. And then I remember one year we had, they all disappeared. They're out there on the dandelions. Then we had a huge windstorm and it just stripped all the dandelions, and boom, those goldfinches were back in our feeders. So no, you should not stop feeding birds. I mean, obviously, if you can't afford to, or you don't want to feed birds, yes, the birds are not going to die because you quit feeding them. But we feed birds for our own enjoyment. We love it. And you are helping them, especially if you have a late spring frost. One year we had like 12 days in April in which the temperatures got below freezing, like in the teens. We called it the Easter freeze that year, and it killed so many plants and so many seed insects. It was very hard on birds. And if you get those late spring frost and freezes and even snows, feeding is even more important during then. So yeah, no, the simple answer is don't stop feeding birds. You definitely will enjoy it, and the birds can use it. All right, here we go. Back to some questions here.
That's where we're at.
Can a perch on a feeder be too close for cardinals to use? Got a new feeder a month ago, filled it up, get safflower, and they fly by. Yeah, and John, classically, cardinals are not great with perches because they are bigger and for them to reach and turn. So kind of the circular perches that stick out, where they can sit on the outside and reach forward, sit out here and reach forward to get to seed is better. But by far, trays are the best. They like that flat surface. So if you can put a tray on that new feeder, you will see a lot more activity from cardinals on it for sure.
Ellie was in the store.
Hi, Ellie. Yep, she stopped by the store today, and when we were talking, we'll welcome in. Hello, my darling. That's my daughter, Morgan. You also miss out on seeing migrating birds if they stop feeding. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the migrating birds, especially, for us, the window, the big peak window for migrating birds through our area is usually that late April through maybe mid-May is the best time. But there are birds migrating here, like right now, the red-winged blackbirds are really coming in, and the common grackle are coming back in, and some of those early migrants. But yes, you don't want to miss out on those.
And here's a reminder about giving us a thumbs up.
Oh, very good. Yes. Remember, if you're on and you like the videos, please give us a thumbs up. Comments help. All that helps the algorithm and helps us get a better standing and placement in YouTube. So great reminder. Those chippy sparrows they are cute little boogers, Carrie. You're right. Yeah. Well, there you go. Right? That gives us I read somewhere, and I've said this many times, that I've read years ago that spring creeps north 12 miles a day. And, I know people talk about, loved ones, somewhere else telling her when the hummingbirds arrived in the South and those kind of things. And kind of, it's amazing how close it's going to be every year. Yes, we can have early springs and more warmer temperatures. And when the soil warms up, then plants can go leaf out earlier, things like that. But that's good information, Sandra, that you don't have any in North Mississippi yet. I know somebody lives in Nashville, Tennessee. Daffodils blooming already, Andrew. Yeah. Somebody posted a picture today on Facebook, I think, of daffodils blooming. Eugene from Cecilia, Kentucky. Had to add a third finch feeder to take care of all the finches. The feeders are covered with finches, house finches to go. Absolutely. Yeah, this is the season for goldfinches are going to be really kicking in now, again, because that natural seed supply is running low. The goldfinch feeding on sweet gumballs. They will. Absolutely. Yep. Yeah, they do. Yep. There are a few species that'll feed on those. White-winged crossbills. I had feeding on one year. I've been enjoying my feed. Yeah, Mike. Lions at the water hole. Yeah, you provide a food, and the predators are going to find it. Absolutely, John. Oh gosh, am I familiar with Point Pelee in Ontario? Absolutely. Ruth can chime in. She's been there before. She and some friends went birding up there one spring a long time ago. I've never made it, but it is a world famous the migration spot for warblers and migrants in the spring. And as birds cross the lake, and boom, they first point of land they can find. It is spectacular. Can't wait to start pulling out hummingbird feeders. Yes, I get that. We've already been, again, one of the things that happens when you get that first hit of warm weather, people come in the store. When should I put my hummingbird feeder out? When should I put my Oriole feeder out? Yes, remember both answers to both of those for the Kansas City region. Now remember, you guys south, be earlier, you guys north. But for us, it's about tax day, April 15th. When it's been really warm, and a lot of south wind, a lot of people will put their feeders out a week or two early, maybe the 1st of April. But remember, just don't put very much in them. Just fill them a little bit, because you're going to be throwing that out every few days. And until you see the hummingbirds coming, there's no reason to waste a whole full hummingbird feeder. All right.
Okay, Kirk says they're golden currant.
Yes, golden currant and coral honeysuckle are leafing out already. Excellent. Yeah, my old house had golden currant right by the back door, and I could always judge by that, but we're not there now. So I live 20 minutes away from Point Pelee. Well, working bulldog, you could have some fantastic spring migration up there in that activity in that area. When should I put my nesting box? Are you talking about a bluebird box or a wren box, Andrew? For you, I imagine you're pretty close to us and timing wise. And I like having them out now and giving those birds a chance to scout them out. Although in here, we typically do not see bluebirds lay eggs until maybe the last week of March. But typically it's been the first week of April or so before they really start getting serious. But I'm telling you, things change. The temperatures are warmer. Otis Jefferson, Ohio, seeing red-winged blackbirds and a mockingbird today. Yep, red wings are on the move. Andre, not sure anything is better than watching a screech owl sun itself just before dusk during this period. That is great if you've got a regular sight to be able to see screech owls. They're to me, they're a jewel to be able to see. Yes, Ruth. Yes, she's going to rub it in. That it was awesome at Point Pelee. They got lots of birds up there. Hello, I'm in Indiana. Lots of goldfinches and house finches. I'm wondering what to do to help finches prepare for nesting. Should I add some calcium carbonate? Some do. I don't know that's. That was one of the reasons that people love feeding dried mealworms this time of year, especially for that source of calcium. Some people switch to calcium-enriched suets this time of year. Some do. People put out crushed eggshells and mix it in with their bird seed. Those are things that you can do. That I don't know biologically speaking, I don't know how much of a help that is, but it can't hurt. That's for sure if you do it properly. And all right.
Okay. Let's see. Warm. She's talking about the warm temps.
Warm temps. I'm having to fill my bird bath. Yes, correct. Absolutely. I had a hummingbird in the bird bath before sunrise yesterday. Where are you at, Mike? You had a hummingbird in the. I know people are getting them. Absolutely. Down south are the best bird watching. You're right. And literally, when is the best bird watching weather? Now I'm a little, as long as I've done it, and any time's a great time to be out bird watching. But for me, whenever I have a really successful day, I like mornings that start out overcast and maybe leaving a light drizzle of rain in the morning and getting out early. And then as soon as the clouds clear, the rain stops, the song just explodes and activity explodes. And so I find that kind of extends the morning a bit. And so I love those conditions. When I know the glare can be bad and lighting and things like that, but activity just soars in those kind of conditions. All right.
Okay, let's see.
I've been the Great Horned Owl's visitor. That's the flying tigers, as I call them. They are major predators. They're wonderful birds. So
this is fun.
New camera lens the week in May.
The
oh gosh, yes, you will enjoy your time. That will be awesome. Hi, Alyssa. I'm putting in this box a 6-foot fence post safe. I want to buy a bluebird box. They are regular visitors to my yard. I'm worried about predators. Well. Okay, my opinion on this, Alyssa, is that Mother Nature never puts predator guards on trees and other nesting sites for bluebirds and other birds. Now, that's doesn't 100% cover it, of course, because people aren't going out and checking bluebird boxes that are bluebirds are nesting in trees and cavities and things like that. And whenever you are going out and checking your bluebird boxes, you're putting your human scent in that area, and maybe raccoons might be drawn to that. So predator guards, there's been the bluebird box program has been going on for almost 100 years now, and they've been very successful. And like I said, I checked bluebird boxes, about 100 of them on Fort Liberty. We can't say Fort Bragg anymore. And we didn't have a single predator guard on any of the boxes on the post. And we fledged tons of bluebirds out of all those boxes. So, but I understand that you wanted to be a good landlord and putting predator guards on your post, if that works for you. Fences are very hard to do that with, because they climb up. Predators can climb up fences, and black snakes are terrible for it. And raccoons are as well, but putting extensions on the holes so that it's harder for a predator to be able to reach into the box to get to your prey. So having those hole extenders on your box is a really good idea. Keeping black snakes out can be very tough, but it's not. Like I said, I've known people that have raised many bluebirds without ever having the black snake problem. So I'm not one that thinks you should be overly concerned with it. Good. Absolutely. That's what they should be doing right now. Should be even taking a sprig or two of grass, Kurt. Hi, Jen. We still have a lot of juncos. Yes, that's right. Yep, Maine. We're expecting some snow, rain, and tomorrow. Yeah, winter's not over by any stretch of it. And I know temperature's supposed to drop back down here. I don't know about snow. We had a little bit of snow last week while we were gone. Winter, we've had snow into April, and so just because we get these stretches of warm weather, now the juncos aren't going to leave. Now, juncos are like other birds, or their migration's timed by day length. They know as the days get longer, they know when it's time for them to head out, and then the wind helps them if the wind's out of the south. All right.
Okay, so Mike that said he had a hummingbird. He says Western.
Oh, Washington State. Okay, yes. And that makes sense. There are a lot of in the Western U.S. We have a lot of hummingbirds that reach that far north. They I don't know if that was an Anna's or I don't know that Rufus are back up there by yet, but yeah, you guys are lucky. You get went like in the southeastern U.S., Florida. There's hummingbirds down there in the winter, and Steve in Alabama. I think I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't have them right now. So, but yes, they can be there.
So Andrew was asking about
chickadees and wren boxes. Yep. Chickadees. It wouldn't surprise me to have chickadees checking out nest boxes and taking in material. Now, if you're talking about a house wren box, that's very early in our neck of the woods for house wrens. They usually don't get back here till late April. They migrate and they winter south. Now I know in the east they winter a little further north than they do here in the Midwest. So I would think it'd be a little early for both of those type boxes yet to expect any nesting activity. But chickadees, man, they're pretty persistent. The weather stays nice, they might be able to pull off an early nest.
So straightforward says you can say Fort Bragg.
Yes, you can't say Fort Bragg for 60 years and have to turn around and all of a sudden have to say Fort Liberty. I'm sorry, not when you grew up there. We have had 2 years of broods without predator guards. Knock on wood. Yes, absolutely. Hi, Sandy. Welcome in. Another very regular viewer. Less straightforward. We had a horse in our backyard. Raccoons are scared of her. Maybe that's a good thing. Yeah. Yeah, and then they don't like my black lab, or they didn't for many years either when they let her out.
Andrew says thank you.
Absolutely. Well, guys, yeah. It again, you get it's funny because when I did the title for this program, I thought to myself, boy, this is, you guys are this is not going to be strange news to any of you or any great update, but yeah, we just get that question a lot, and Carrie can tell you and Ruth can tell you, we've been dealing with this for years. People think that once the weather gets warm, they should stop feeding birds, and if you've heard me back in the fall when I talked about the difference between a good year for us and a great year is the sympathetic bird feeder. And that is those people who only feed birds whenever they feel sorry for them. And that's during cold stretches of weather and snow and ice. And weather like this, those type of bird feeding people are not going to feed birds. You guys are the 365-day a year bird feeders are pretty close to that, I'm sure. So I don't think, hopefully the message was good for some, and then of course we got to talk about our cruise and vacation, which is always great. So let's see. Got some more coming in here. I know they like the post. It's just for hunting their bugs. We're too close to our nesting neighbors. Oh, yeah. Remember, bluebird boxes, especially 100 yards apart, unless one's going to have like a tree swallow in it and one's going to have a bluebird in it. Those males are just going to fight if the boxes are too close together. So make sure they're good and spread out. And that includes, if your neighbor's already got a box up, see if you can't get that. Or if you have a really great sight line, like I said, a tree line between you and your neighbor, and his yard's really open and your yard's really open, then that times you can break that 100-yard rule. But if it's wide open, they need that space. That's right. Yeah, Carrie, yeah, if you stop feeding, your enjoyment stops too, because they sure do bring us joy. Yes, the titmice do love the suet, and I know you guys are still feeding suet. And really, again, now the insects are picking up with the warm stretch of weather. Bugs start moving, and so some of those suet-loving birds are probably eating a lot of insects right now. But as soon as the weather gets cold again, they're going to go back to that suet really heavy. So, all right. Thank you, Steve. Yes, Sophie finally calmed down and she is sleeping now. So thank you for joining in, and thank you for the update. For you guys, I wish I had loaded that picture, but Steve sent me a picture of a male painted bunting in his yard. Either was it yesterday? I think it may have been there, or just a stunning bird. It cannot be confused with anything, except you might think it's from the rainforest. It's a stunningly beautiful bird, and that's also Melanie's favorite bird. And cool that you got to see that. I saw several of them in Cozumel, by the way. So yeah, thanks for joining in tonight, Steve. And let's see. I have not, Andrew. Yeah, no, we've been so big. We're still unpacking boxes from the move, but it's warm enough now that the ground is soft enough I can get the new poles in. But I've just been way too busy with the cruise and everything, so they'll be going ahead and back up. My guess is maybe sometime late this month is what or early next month. Steve, that was a great shot. Yeah, yeah. The just a stunning bird. Back again today. Picasso, by the way. Oh, I got you. Okay, Picasso. But they were, yeah, you had a lot of great pictures you sent me there. Some from New Jersey. You threw me off with the snow. You sent there was that picture of the painted bunting, and the next couple had snow in the picture, and I thought, did this snow in South Alabama? And then you clarified it in the note. Yeah, that was awesome. Fun watching a robin play tug of war with a worm this morning. Wow. Like, yeah, yeah, they when it's warm and moist, those worms move to the surface, and the robins will definitely take advantage of that. I know you sell seed and such, but what do you think of leaving the bottom part of trees almost like a totem? Absolutely. To me, it would never cut a tree completely down at first if I had any choice whatsoever in it. Definitely leave the snag, as we call it, the dead, and let that tree rot. They are bird feeders in themselves. The insects attack that wood as it's dying, and the birds will come and feed on the insects that are just under the bark and in the bark. And of course, the woodpeckers will build condominiums out of it, and you'll have lots of birds nesting in it. So definitely leave as much of it as you can. You feel safe with. It'll take years before the main part will fall down. If it's safe and you can leave it up. I've known people who actually cut down a dead tree and hauled it and dug a hole and planted it in their yard, at the back of their yard, as a bird feeder and for habitat. All right. I can't feed soot without a spray. Yes, Mike, they are a major problem. Upside down soot feeders, I've got videos, but they are tough when the starlings really move in. Yeah, it gets really bad. Yes, I hear that we're going to have the double cicada eruption in our area, Steve. That's for sure. It'll be a noisy summer. All right. You are welcome, Shirley. Thanks for joining in. Thank you, Andrew. Yeah, it looks like you've got a great setup going there in your yard. Absolutely. I'm glad you have. That's the whole goal. I love to teach, and I'm glad you guys are getting good information and helping you with your bird feeding and bird watching. Bluebirds this year, also tree swallow. I put up 2 close. Good. It's great when you can get those 2 nesting close together. They can coexist. I'm back to bringing my feeders in at night. Yeah. Oh, a black bear. Yeah, we don't have to deal with those, Kristen. But yes, that's something you guys that live in that habitat have to be careful of, because once the black bears find a source of food, they're going to be very persistent. Oh, I guess. Yes, absolutely. The pileated, as I call it. People ask about the pronunciation of the pileated versus pileated woodpecker. If you've heard me before, I talk about the name of that crest on that woodpecker is scientific name is called a pileum. And they were named for that. And so I've always called them pileated because of that. Now, I had a friend whose wife was a English linguist master, and she said because of the rules it should be pileated, but I can't change. So either one's correct. But they're fantastic birds. Saw one in Florida fly over our heads. And rabbit eat on my holly berries. Absolutely, they love them. A maple tree has a spot where a limb was cut off. I think the spot may have a hole because I see birds going. Absolutely. Yeah, I'll gather water. Sometimes it can be a source of water for birds. And if it's dry, they can be a source for nesting. Can we send bird questions? Absolutely. Yeah, all that information and links are in the description below, but Mark at backyardbirdcenter.com. Send questions. A lot of you guys have been able to do that, and I'm always glad to help. Absolutely. Also looking forward to waking up on the weekends and sitting out on a porch and watching feeders and boxes. Absolutely. Yep. Northern Mass. We shouldn't. When should I? Is that I would feed 365 days a year, especially up in your part of the woods, but it's up to you. I mean, like I said, of all the things that we talk about feeding, you know, for for people who've asked me this in the past in our area, I say get through the nesting season, and if you want to stop, say in July, August, September, the goldfinches don't nest until July around here, so they'll bring their babies in July and August. But you know, some people when they go on their summer vacation, they quit feeding and they don't start feeding back again until the fall. And when they do that, sometimes their feeders are very slow to get going again in the fall. So most people try to feed really all year long. Hi, Steve. What should you do with Eastern Phoebe nest? I left it up. Just got on. So maybe answer the question. No, with Phoebe nest, that's interesting. Phoebes are famous for losing their nest, actually. I doubt they'll reuse it. So a lot of people will take them down because part for a lot of birds, the building of the nest is an important part of their courtship and getting going. Some birds reuse nests, but most birds do not. So you can take them down in the winter months, and if the spot was really good for them, they'll might rebuild right back on the same spot. Yeah, that's right. A lot of squirrels and birds will use knot holes like that to stash food in. Wow, Andrew, that's really unusual that the robins are eating cracked corn. Yeah, they you know they can't crack open seed. I do have them eating hulla seed like sunflower hearts and kernels sometimes and little peanut pieces, but not very often. But they will. How will the super brood of cicadas affect birds? Well, if you're a Mississippi kite, it's going to be a wonderful time for you. Mississippi kites are huge consumers of cicadas, so they should do really well. Some other birds will eat them, especially picking them up off the ground and things. I've seen blue jays eat them. I've seen mockingbirds eat them. It just depends. You know, it should be a help to a lot of birds that take advantage of them. Northern Mass, we should stop it. You know, I I would say never, but you know, if you want to do late summer, you can. If you want to save money and things like that, I would wait till after the migration's over, and that, especially that early nesting season, would be my advice. Never witnessed that. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Boy, Ricky, you can't. You're asking me a hard question to answer here because people will get mad at me no matter what I say here. Um, when it comes to house sparrows and starlings, they don't afford any have any protection against them. And if you wish to do that, you are within your legal rights to do that. Now, I know a lot of people do not have it in their hearts to do that, but I also know a lot of bluebird landlords, and I know a lot of purple martin landlords that have been doing it for years because they'll just take over their boxes and they'll kill their babies and break eggs and things like that. They're non-native species. They have whole programs on that. So you're well within your right. I usually feed year round and get a lot of fledglings. Some people say stop feeding. I was curious to your opinion. No, you know, I'm not in favor of it, especially for, like I said, birds like goldfinches. They need that seed because they don't eat insects. And the birds that feed their babies insects, they're going to eat those, find insects to feed their babies. They're not going to stop doing that because you're feeding. And the adult birds will come get seed while they're hunting for insects for their babies because they like cardinals. Cardinals want to eat seed all the time as well as some insects. So I don't think you have to do that. Well, thank you, Andrew. I thank you for kicking that in. That all that support helps. Yeah. Yes, exactly. Yep. I tell you a bird that I've got pictures of that eating the cicadas is a barred owl. I have a neighbor at the old house lived behind us, and he had fledgling barred owls that it landed on his deck, and they had grass clippings from where he mowed the grass in his face, and he was watching them. They would go down to the grass and put their face down in the ground and come back up with a cicada, and they would eat the cicada. So there are lots of birds that will eat them, including owls. I've never heard that before. I know told me the Phoebe makes a nest on their porch. Lightning won't strike your cabin. Is that true? Boy, I wish that was. That's pretty amazing. I love that one. I mean, it's like people say every time you hear the farmers you say when you hear a yellow-billed cuckoo call, that means it's going to rain. Well, they call every day, obviously. So I wish that were true. But the thing I know about Phoebes is they're famous for losing their nests. They'll start a nest like under a cabin, up on ledges, and next thing you know, they're building over here, which is only like 10 or 15 feet away, and then they say that they actually lose them, and then they find them, they'll start working on them again. Some people call them dummy nests. They're crazy little birds. I love them. How many flyhatches will bring swarms of grackles? Another black-winged titmouse. Absolutely. I mean, any birds can take advantage of that kind of influx of food. Better than the one who chased carpenter bees. That's right. Yep. When do rose-breasted grosbeaks come back through eastern Kansas? I look for them on the early side the last week of April, typically. A lot of times it's the first 2 weeks of May, though, is when we see the big influx of them. Again, in years that if it's the winds continue to really blow hard and early April from the south, they can bring them in a little bit earlier. I worked on a cowbird trapping program. Didn't know that they have such a negative impact on local nesting birds. Yes, they definitely do, but they are also native themselves, and so they are protected. And I know that there are certain areas that to protect endangered species, they have the trapping programs on them. But unfortunately, the cowbird situation is a problem we created ourselves with the introduction of cattle and clearing forest and things. And my cowbird video is one of my more popular videos if you haven't seen that. My favorite birds this winter were the pine siskins. You had them. We didn't. They run the house sparrows off the feeders. Oh, yeah. They're bold little guys. Absolutely. Yeah. They promised them this year, but we didn't have any. I hadn't seen a single siskin this winter. Good question. I still don't know what my old neighbor used to do to attract them in Ohio. Yeah. Well, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. It's been a great program. Like I said, I got a couple lined up coming up next week. If you're interested in more information about what we saw on the trip, and got some really great quality pictures in there, do tune in for that. I always say, please send in ideas for future programs because we want to talk about what you want us to talk about and continue to give you good information if we can. Hopefully we do. And then we're going to sign off here. Did you say an earlier you have connections to Western PA near Monroeville, Greensboro? Yes, I was the director of the Audubon Society of Western Pennsylvania and Fox Chapel, and we had some property up north of Pittsburgh and out west of Pittsburgh that I used to go visit and had programs and things out there. No, the rose-breasted grosbeaks are beautiful. Yep, absolutely. They love striped sunflower and safflower, cousins to the cardinals. So sorry he didn't answer your question. I'm sorry. Did I miss a question? Tried not to. I apologize if I missed a question. Yeah, it's hard to keep up. You're very welcome, Otis. Thank you, guys. We appreciate it. Yes, we're working to keep these things going and doing what we can. See if I can find it. Yeah, I hate that I missed a question. I try so hard not to. So. Where's music
too? Here we go. Did you do this one?
Yep, I did that one.
Okay, that was who asked a question. So maybe.
Well, again, I'm sorry. We can.
If you missed your question, email it.
Please send me an email, mark@backyardbirdcenter.com. Ask me, and I will get it back to you as quick as I possibly can, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in tonight. A great program as always. Have a wonderful evening, and we will see you next time. Remember, until then, come by and let's talk birds. Where'd the mouse go? There it is.